Hi guys, sorry about that. We had some mad technical issues that I just couldn't resolve, but we're back. Marcus
We
is back
are.
with us. He did freeze, and we had to reset everything a couple of times, but we are back. So apologies for that. Hopefully you've come back to join us. Thankfully, Marcus didn't get too fed up and was very patient with me, and he's back with us as well. So back to it. I think we were talking about Kobe White. I think.
Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice that he's back. It's nice that he can score double digits on his second night back. I think it's also nice to hear the reaction that the rest of the team gave him. There was a post game interview that Kobe did right off the floor, and the guys said, "Welcome back." They dumped water on his head, and I guess from what they said in the locker room, once he got into the locker room, they gave him a standing ovation, and everybody was hugging him and high fiving him and all that. I looked at the post game interview from DeMar, and he said, "Hey, it sucks because this kid has never had an injury in his life, and he's having to deal with literally. I mean, if you can imagine it, it's not only the fact that he's got to come back from injury and find his way up into a new lineup, but the lineup is completely changed.
Yeah.
He's now competing with Io. It's
It's
crazy,
madness. Yeah, I mean, we didn't. I don't. Well, I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't expect Io to have the impact he's had. Certainly,
Me
well,
neither.
if at
Me
all, but
neither.
certainly not this early on. It's been crazy. But
He's
yeah,
fearless. That's his
yeah,
thing. I
yeah.
mean, he's not a timid. How many times? It's like if I could take Io's heart and throw it into Patrick Williams.
Oh
Oh my
man,
gosh.
you've got a player there, wouldn't you? A few times early on when he was sort of doing crazy things like running at the rim, and I was like, "Whoa, slow down, Rook!" And then he was making these crazy layups, which at times he looked completely out of control, but he was
Yeah.
making them. It was just, and
Yeah.
now I'm just like, yeah, just
When we
yeah,
played,
just give it to Io.
when we played these other teams, he was going right at Paul George and
It's
everybody else. It's
yeah,
like he's fearless.
completely
He doesn't
fearless,
care. He was
completely.
going right at AD, or I'm sorry, not AD, but he was going right at KD when we played the
Yes,
Nets.
yeah, he was. Yeah, he's completely fearless. Going back to what you said about Kobe, that is one thing that I absolutely love about this team. They're a genuine unit. There's such a togetherness with all of them, even the bench guys that aren't even seeing many, if any at all, minutes. They are so behind each other. The support is just, well, you can see it, can't you? And that's not fake, is it? That's legit.
Yeah, and here's an easy way to tell. If you go and look at some of the highlights and the highlight reels of some of the best Bulls plays, especially when they're on the right side of the screen as you start seeing the basket, and you can see the Bulls bench behind the play, and something amazing happens, the excitement from the Bulls bench is the most exciting thing to watch as a fan, to see that they're getting out of their seats just as much as we are
I
when a great
always
thing happens.
I always kind of look now for Alize Johnson's reaction because he's been absolutely brilliant with some of his reactions from the bench.
Yeah, like where he played dead after
Yeah,
one of those dunks, and somebody said, "I hope Alizé is okay" on Twitter, and he replied back, "No, I'm not."
that's right. He said it was too much. And there was another one. He was just lying on the floor. He just fell to the floor and was just lying there. He's great value, absolutely great value.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think it's funny because at the beginning of the year, all these bench guys, as we started to pick them up, we're all like, who,
yeah,
who? Derek Jones, who? We remember him from the slam dunk contest, but it's like, is he a good player? And it's like, geez. And then Javante Green, oh my God, this guy is
he. I thought
unbelievable.
I thought he really hurt himself. Was that yesterday or was that against Denver? I can't even remember which game it
He
was
keeps
now.
hitting his head on the rim.
Oh, but he went down really hard. I think that was yesterday actually, and it looked like he probably buckled his wrist or something, a bit like Patrick Williams did. And
Yeah.
he was a little bit shaken, but not too bad really. I mean, he's another one that's just fearless. He's just he thinks he's 7 foot tall. I mean, he must do the
Yeah,
way he
I
plays.
love it. I love the makeup of this team. Alizé Johnson's great. I mean, we haven't even seen guys like Marko Semenovic
No,
yet. He's in the G League right now, just trying to get his strength up and get the games going. And our G League team sucks. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but they're not good.
I've been
Um,
keeping up with it, and it's a shame really because Devin Dotson can he's pretty athletic because he's not a tall guy. He can play hard, but yeah, they've not got a great deal there.
Yeah, I don't think Dotson is an NBA player. I just
agree.
don't.
I agree. And I think it's a shame because he's a Chicago kid and everyone kind of wanted that fairy tale.
Okay, I'm a Chicago kid. Does that mean I get to go on the roster
yeah.
too?
Yeah, when you put it like that, yeah. I think, though, a lot of people have almost forgotten about him now because of Io, who's obviously also a Chicago kid. So now they've got that fairy tale. I think since D Rose left, there's been something missing with Bulls fans, and they're so desperate. And when Dotson come in, so many people were saying, "Give him minutes, give him minutes." You know, Chicago kid, and obviously it's just like you. I'm with you. I'm not sure he's an NBA player. I'll be truthful, and I really like the guy. I really like him. Whereas Io, on the other hand, is looking like an absolute steal at 38, and it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yep. I think everybody agrees with us too that was the biggest steal in the second round.
It has to be. Yeah, absolutely has to be. Which, of course, was AK's and Mark Eversley's doing. Speaking of AK, the other game we had before the Knicks game was Denver, AK's old team. That was the result I thought we would lose, I'll be honest, in the week's games. I had us down as a loss there. So
you probably didn't think that Jokic would be out of the game either.
No, that's fair. And I can't lie, although I don't like seeing players out and injured or protocol and everything else, I think it sucks for the league. I was a little bit relieved, I'm not going to lie.
I'll take a win on a West Coast trip. That's not bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take him any way we can get him. If LeBron's not playing, if AD gets thrown out and that gets us a Lakers win, so be it.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I'm with you there. But it was nice. I think that was the first game where Tony Bradley started solid because he's been starting very cagey. He looks like he's got butter on his fingers sometimes when the ball's thrown to him and he's just not ready for it. And then
if you want to watch Tony Bradley to its fullest, watch his footwork. Just watch his feet in the plays. Okay, he's got the best fundamental footwork. It's almost like Zach LaVine's footwork. It really is.
Oh wow, high praise.
He is very good at his positioning, at his rebounding. I know it seems like he's got butterfingers, but you know, the speed of some of these passes that are coming through is unbelievable. Lonzo Ball is a quarterback, just whipping that thing.
But that doesn't come across on the telly, does it? Just how fast these balls are traveling.
Yeah, that full court lob that he did to LaVine. I thought LaVine was going to break his other hand trying to stop that thing. Yeah, and that's the thing about we can get back to Devon Dotson is. Yeah, last year we might have said, yeah, he can work for a point guard, but now that we've got Lonzo, it's like, oh, that's what a point guard is supposed to do.
We were so desperate for that point guard, so desperate.
It was worth the wait.
Yeah,
I remember when Lonzo was drafted, and we were all hoping that we'd get the number 2 pick, in the back then, so that we could get him and all the rest. Like I would have. Let's look in a retrospective fashion here. Who's had a better career so far, Lonzo Ball or Zion Williamson?
Well, do you know, I've said this quite often. If the Bulls got the number 1 pick in the Zion draft, I wouldn't have taken Zion. I wanted Ja Morant.
Yeah,
I wanted
big
Ja
time.
Morant. And I actually hoped the Bulls were going to get the number 2 pick. I didn't want them to get the number 1 pick because I think Garpax would have gone with Zion because I think whoever got that number 1 pick was almost pressured into picking Zion. So I wanted the Bulls to get the 2nd pick to get Morant, and he's awesome, by the way. But you talking about Lonzo, I actually wrote this down because I've been listening back to your podcasts. I listened to quite a few at the time, and I listened back in research for this pod. And you were talking about the draft last year, so the LaMelo Ball draft.
Right.
And this is a quote from you. And by the way, I'm not calling you out because I completely agreed with every word you said and would have done up until probably 4 months ago, right? Quote, talking about LaMelo Ball. I don't want to have a Ball brother in a Bulls uniform. I just don't.
Okay.
I was
Well,
with you, man. That's not me calling you out because I absolutely, at the time, I was with you, and like I said, up until probably 4 months ago, I was probably still with you.
okay,
Um,
so I will requalify that remark. I didn't know much about the family at all. And once we got Lonzo, I started looking into the family and how they were raised and the story behind it, and LeVar and Tina and the Ball family and how they were. I don't watch reality TV, so I'm not into any of that stuff. I don't know anything. I really don't watch any TV except the Bulls games. But I was just a little put off by the Jordan remarks and all the rest of it, and kind of maybe I took that personally. But and then also, I didn't really think LaMelo was going to turn into what he is now, and I didn't think that Lonzo was the player that he is now.
no,
He just didn't have the right environment around him.
I've said
And
time and
I
time
think New
again that.
Orleans
Sorry.
should go down as the stupidest team in the league.
Yeah,
They got a #1 pick and blew everything up, and now look at them.
yeah,
They've got a fat Zion Williamson who
yeah.
probably won't have the same kind of career
And
as we all expect him to. And I'm guessing that RJ from New York is probably going to have a better career than Zion will.
oh wow, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
That's a hot take. Zion, the worry for Zion was always going to be injuries. I mean, he's a big dude. He always walks with a limp, even when he's healthy. That's just who
Yeah.
he is. So that, yeah,
When
that,
he
I
was
mean,
19 years old, he had a limp walking like that. And that was the first thing I said is that, boy, this guy's going to have some knee problems
yeah,
big
for
time.
sure. He's a big dude. He's a heavy man. Um,
I hope he does the best. He's amazing as far as a player and what he can do for his size, but I really question the New Orleans medical staff for letting him get in that kind of condition.
yeah,
It just doesn't seem feasible that a guy could turn that way. I mean, even Barkley, with Charles Barkley on inside the NBA, was saying that he was getting in that shape when he was young in his early career, and Moses Malone told him, you cannot be this way if you want to be a professional, and that turned it all around for him. And I don't know if Lonzo has that same support within his structure,
yeah.
but I certainly think that he needs it. And you know what? He's an NBA player. He can bounce back. I'm sure that it'll take just a month or two before he can get back into playing shape.
I hope he does. I genuinely do mean that because I don't like to see anyone fail, especially someone with so much talent. It would be a genuine shame. Going back to Zion and stuff and the Ball family, I'm absolutely with you. I didn't like LeVar Ball at all. I thought he's too loud, trying to take the limelight constantly off of Lonzo at the time. And I look back now and I think you can say what you want about him, but what a father he actually is, because ultimately if he didn't talk his talk, would Lonzo have gone, what did he go, number 3 pick? Oh, it was number 2. Would Lonzo have gone that high if LeVar wasn't talking him up? I don't know. I doubt it. LaMelo, same. He was playing overseas. He was playing in Australia, wasn't he, LaMelo? So
China, I thought. Was it China or somewhere? I forget. New Zealand, maybe. I don't know. I remember.
I think he's played
somewhere
around,
weird.
he played in Europe and I think he ended up in Australia. I think last year. I may have got that wrong, but again, would he have gone as high as he did if LeVar didn't talk him up? LiAngelo was so close to getting into the league, and he still may. Who knows? But
I think he will.
I mean, you have to give LeVar credit there. As much as I disliked the man at the time, and to me, he just seemed arrogant. He's very quiet now. You don't hear much from him. You see videos of him sometimes playing up to the crowd. I'm all right with that. It's a bit of fun. That's fine by me.
He did his talking. He got what his goal was accomplished, and that's really all you need to do.
Yeah, man. I'm with you there. And I actually really respect the man now, to be truthful. And I couldn't stand the sound of his voice because it was going off so often at one point. But a good pal of mine, Sam Blake's just joined in the chat. We haven't touched on that yet, Sam. We had quite a few technical issues earlier, so we had to pause it for a bit. But Sam wants to get your take, Marcus, on Scottie Pippen's book?
Okay. Scotty has a short memory because I saw him play every game that he played for the Bulls.
Yep.
First off, Scotty's a moron. He took a very stupid contract for almost nothing based on, I don't know, bad negotiation skills,
I think
something like that.
I actually wrote it
Even
down.
Reinsdorf told him at the time, "Are you sure you want to sign this?"
I think he actually told him not to sign it at the time.
Yeah,
it was
he did anyway.
It was,
and that's his own problem.
It was in '91, and it was a 7-year contract for $18 million. That's 1-8, by the way. 18, not 80. That is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Felicio made more money from the Bulls than Scottie Pippen did. How's that grab you?
Oh man, that's tragic. That's tragic. I get why.
Yeah.
I get why he wanted to look after his family. And listen, $18 million is a hell of a lot of money. It's sure as hell a lot more money than I'm ever going to earn in my life. And I get it. He had a lot of siblings, a massive family, and obviously I think his dad was in a wheelchair and his brother was in a wheelchair at the same time. So I kind of get it, because, you know, let's be honest, you're one injury away from being out of the league at that stage of your career. So I kind of get it. But yeah, I mean, hindsight, it was a terrible decision from him, wasn't it?
I don't know how much he got for this book that he put out there, but the damage control for the fandom of the Bulls is slipping from him. I think he's tarnishing his legacy worse than anybody I've ever seen in terms of the Bulls. So I don't agree with his statements. I don't agree with what he's saying. But then again, I wasn't there. So I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I know in The Last Dance, it was the Michael Jordan documentary and nothing else. But I've seen Scotty play for other teams, and I don't exactly remember him winning championships on those teams either.
I think he also forgets that, you know, Jordan never claimed he did it, but he did it by himself.
Right.
He often said,
even in his Hall of Fame speech,
you can't mention Michael Jordan without mentioning Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Like you say, even in his Hall of Fame speech. So, like you say, Scotty has got a very, very short memory, and it absolutely pains me. Probably like yourself, like most of the 90s Bulls fans, as people of our sort of generation, it is so hard to listen to. I mean, I've bought the book. I don't know if you have. I only bought it because I managed to get a signed copy, which I've got coming over from the States. And I'm a sucker for memorabilia. So I bought it. I'll be honest, I've got no intention of reading it. I've heard enough from Scotty, but I thought he's still a hero of mine, no matter what he says. And he's had a tough year. Obviously, he lost his son, and him and his wife went separate ways. And whatever you want to read or believe about that is not easy for him. But I just can't get on board with anything he says.
And he's still making money on the league right now. He's probably making a couple $1 million just being a commentator. For what he does. And so I can't abide by the things that he's saying. I can't really go along with it. But if he wants to throw salt. We got 6 rings out of it. That's fine by me. But you know, I don't think that I don't see anybody else coming out with a book. I don't see the Steve Kerr book. I don't see the Tony Kukoc book, you know, and those guys had a pretty big hand in things too.
I don't know if you saw Luke Longley done a documentary with Australian Story. It was on YouTube. It was only a 2-part thing. I found that absolutely fascinating. That was just brilliant from Luke. So respectful. He was annoyed he wasn't included in The Last Dance, but he went about it the right way, in my opinion. He put his view across, but it was so respectful, and he admitted, you know, it wasn't always fun. Michael Jordan wasn't particularly a nice person. Let's be honest, we all knew that at the time, really. Michael Jordan on the court is not a nice person. But I also liked the fact that Jordan actually took time to be on that, to be interviewed for that, which I thought was a bit of class. And he admitted that he should have probably got sorry,
Luke.
Luke on the Last Dance documentary. Scottie Pippen, take note. That's how you do it, and have a bit of class. And people say, "Yep, that is really well put. We still love you. There's no hard feelings. My childhood's not ruined."
Yeah, exactly. And I thought Luke was always a great player and really kind of stoic in what it is that he did, and it really didn't raise a fuss, and you really didn't hear much about him. I mean, this was in the days like we didn't have back then what we do now, which is I'm sitting at home and I can tune in to watch the post game interviews and the reactions and things like that. So it's a little different these days, and I think it would have been a lot of fun to see the Bulls interviews during that time, like you did in The Last Dance, and some of the things that happened during the course of that. But it's, I hope that we can maybe have another one of these kinds of documentaries with the team that we've got now someday.
It would be very nice, wouldn't it? I mean, touching on that, I always say this, but imagine if social media was around back then. I mean, cool.
Well, I'm thankfully glad for my own self personally that it wasn't.
Yeah, you and me both, actually.
I can't imagine the stuff that I got into would be posted like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
nice. It was nice to act like an idiot and nobody be able to record it, wasn't it?
Right. It's what's interesting is League Pass now is still following the 90s website models, because the NBA is the slowest to catch up in terms of any sort of social interaction. Do you agree with me as a League Pass subscriber?
Well,
it's really clunky.
Yeah, I generally don't have too many issues. I had a lot of problems with it last night of all the games. Sometimes it does freeze a bit live. Watching back on demand, it seems to be absolutely fine.
Right.
But sometimes when you're watching live, it does freeze up and you have to reset the app. I don't know if that's just, it could be my phone or what have you. But I mean, for what we pay, I think it's amazing value. I mean, like you said, way back when, it was hard to watch for you guys. I mean, imagine how tough it was here. We used to get we had like 4 TV channels, and we used to get a show on Channel 4. I think it was like once a week or something, and it was just, that was all we could get.
Well, let me ask you. Let me turn this on you. What is the NBA scene in the UK now?
It's growing. It's growing.
Yeah?
So they used to do a game in London. I don't know if you're aware of that, the NBA London game, which they've now. I say now, they didn't do one this year for obvious reasons, but they moved it to Paris last year. The demand in Europe is huge. The NBA around Europe is generally massive. France, Spain, all these Eastern European countries, it's huge. In the UK, I would say it's growing every day, but there's still a long way to go. But the people who do follow it are extremely passionate about it, and it's.
So, are you seeing people out on the street with team hats and things like that every now and again?
Here's the problem with that. So it's almost like a fashion thing. So one of my friends, Rich Barrett, because I'm also part of NBA UK Fans, which is a social account, and there's 5 of us. And one of the guys in there, Rich Barrett, he tells a story about when he saw someone who had, I think it maybe was a Brooklyn Nets cap or T-shirt or something, and he went over and started trying to talk about the game. I mean, Rich is a Boston Celtics fan, but he was trying to talk about the game, and the person had no clue what he was talking about, and he just looked at him like he was just come off a different planet or something. So there's a shop, I don't know if you're familiar with it, called Primark.
No, I haven't heard.
So there's a big department store over here called Primark, and it's basically, you can go there and buy stuff for like clothes so cheap. Like you can get T-shirts for like £2 and stuff. And it's they started doing NBA stuff. Mainly, I've not been in there, but it's mainly Bulls and Lakers, I think. So you see a lot more of it now, which I'll be honest, if it's NBA fans buying it, I'm all for it. Yeah. Let's be honest, some of the merchandise is stupidly overpriced. So it's a way to get cheaper items, and I'm all for that. You know, give everyone the chance. Even if people haven't got much money, they can still go and buy a T-shirt or a hoodie or a cap, whatever. But it's when non-basketball fans are buying it, and I wouldn't say it bothers me that much, but it's things like Rich's story, and you see someone, you think, oh, there's a Bulls fan. I saw a Lakers top in a shop around the corner from me last week, and I was like, he probably normally, like as a UK basketball fan, you want to meet people that are into basketball and you can just talk to anyone, strangers. Everyone's so
Yeah.
supportive. But now it's like, oh, I don't want to because he may not know anything about it and he might think I'm an
Hmm.
absolute weirdo. But yeah, I mean, the NBA UK community as a whole is really solid, really supportive towards each other. We've got quite a lot of fan accounts now. Most of the teams, I think, have got fan accounts set up. And we always, bicker and stuff online. You'll see me and Nick's UK, Martin, who was on here earlier. We're always going at it, but it's nothing but love. He's an absolute top man, and I love
I
him to
wear my
bits.
Bulls gear everywhere, and I live in the LA metro area, so everybody. It's surprising because I do see other people wearing Bulls gear out and about. A lot of Lakers stuff. What's interesting, I've never seen anybody wear a
I
Clippers
knew you were going to
anything.
say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Anything. Never seen it.
That's great. Do you get back to Chicago much?
No, not too much.
No.
Just I'm pretty. I've been here 15 years now.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I think I've been back twice.
Right. Oh wow. That's crazy. Do you get to many West games then when the Bulls are in town?
I've been to a couple. The problem is they really overprice the tickets to either the Clippers or the Lakers. I mean,
Right.
private parking alone is $60. It's like,
Wow.
yeah. It's nuts.
Wow.
So I don't really partake in that too much. I may soon, but they have kind of weird. In the age of COVID, I don't. I'm gonna pass for until this thing blows over. Maybe next year,
I'm with you. I was
But
hoping to get out to Chicago last year, and I was in the process of booking everything. And obviously, when COVID hit, it all got put to a halt. And then I was going to go this year. In fact, what the games I was going to go out for was going to be the Knicks last night and the Pacers tonight. So I
hmm
was going to do like a 4-day trip and see back-to-back games. But I looked into it, and I could do it now. But I've never been to Chicago, and I want my
yeah,
first experience to be normal if we're ever going to get
yeah,
back to normal. I don't want to have to be walking around in a mask, taking photos in a mask, and
right.
it just won't be the same in my opinion. So I've held off, and hopefully I'll get there next year once things settle down a bit. I don't want to spend all that money and be restricted.
I'll be sure to give you a checklist of the things that you need to see and do while you're there that are not so touristy, but at least that you can get the vibe.
That'll be awesome.
Like you got to go to a blues bar. You have to. Like, and there's certain ones I can introduce you to that are pretty amazing. So
That'd be
it's
awesome.
I'll give you the full experience rundown as far as what you need to do.
You'd have to give me the best pizza places as well because I hear so many different ones, and I'm not going to be there long enough to try them all. So
Big myth about Chicago. Everybody thinks that deep dish is the big go-to pizza that everybody eats. That's really not the case. That's just like a specialty thing, like if it's your birthday or somebody celebrating something or something. But the beautiful thing about Chicago pizza is that every neighborhood kind of has a different style, and it's mostly tavern style pizzas. The flat pizzas that that are the specialty. But the thing about Chicago pizza is the sauce. That's how it's spiced,
right.
and that's the thing that differentiates it. It's not the crust. It's not. I mean, it is, but that's really it. Is it's how the sauce is spiced up, and there's a lot of place. I mean, almost every city has its local favorite, but it's all good. That's the great thing about
Oh,
it.
that's fine by me then. You can't go wrong. I was worried. I've seen some pictures of some of these deep dish pizzas, and man, that looks like a hell of a lot of bread.
Yeah, have one on your way out of town. That's really the way to go with that.
I do love pizza though, so that's definitely something I'm going to have to do. Right, Marcus. Well, I think we're going to get to the player quiz. Call it a quiz,
Okay, let's do
however
it.
you want to do it. We haven't touched on all the games, I know, but the next game up was the one we lost against Portland. So we'll just bypass that like it never happened. And then we beat the Lakers, which was amazing. So we could talk for hours. Well, I could certainly talk to Marcus for hours. I don't know if he feels the same, but let's do this. So I've picked 3 players, one from the 90s, or they were playing for the Bulls during the 90s, one from the
Okay.
2000s, and one from 2010 onwards.
Okay.
So up first, who was at the Bulls in the 90s, his teams were, and this is in no particular order, obviously Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings, Dallas Mavericks, and Sacramento Kings again. He actually had 2 spells at Sacramento.
In the 90s.
Yes, I can give you the year he was drafted.
Okay.
He was drafted in 85.
Oh, God.
Not by the Bulls.
That's tough. If I had a number to go on, I could probably
So he
figure
was
it out.
drafted by Dallas Mavericks in 1985.
Okay.
He joined the he joined the Kings in 1990. Then he played overseas from 91 to 93 in Italy. Then he joined the Bulls from 93 to 99. And then he finished off in Sacramento 99 to 2000. He was a center.
It can't be Bill Cartwright because he was drafted in like 1922. Do
you want another clue?
Yes, please.
I feel this one could give it away. He's Canadian.
Oh, Bill Wennington?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill Wellington. So yeah, he played in Bologna in Italy.
I didn't know that.
I actually didn't know that either. So that was a surprise to me when I was researching that one. So this one I think you're going to get pretty quickly, actually. So this is from the 2000 era. So his teams are obviously Chicago Bulls, Orlando Magic, the Charlotte Bobcats, and the Detroit Pistons. Excuse me, Detroit Pistons. He was a guard.
I'm stumped so far.
He was drafted by the Bulls in 2004.
A guard drafted in 2004.
The number 3 pick.
I'm stumped on this one.
He was the number 3 pick. He wore the number 7 jersey for the Bulls. He won.
What year was he drafted?
2004. 3rd overall pick. He won 6th man of the year in his rookie season.
Oh, Ben Gordon?
Yes.
Okay.
Ben Gordon.
All right.
I thought you were gonna smash that one out the park. Right, let's try this one. So this is he was at the Bulls from 2010 onwards, basically. He may have been in the league before that, but so his teams were obviously Chicago Bulls, Utah Jazz, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Position?
He was a power forward.
Carlos Boozer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Smashed that one. That was easy for you. Carlos Boozer, yeah, absolutely.
The hairline.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Oh dear. Well done. That was a good effort. To be fair, I'm not very good with things like that. It's easy when you're looking them and you know the answers, so it's not so easy.
Yeah, Carlos Boozer was one of the worst free agent signings that the Bulls ever did. They signed him to a big contract, and then I think it was like a week later or something, he said he tripped over a gym bag in his house and he broke his wrist or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was out like most of the year, the first year that he was signed.
Oh, so I wasn't aware of that.
That was his introduction to Chicago. Yeah.
Probably went down very well with the fans, I would imagine, at the time.
Well, I mean, the fans were also, I think it was 2003 or 4. We had Jay Williams
Yes.
and or Jason Williams, and he crashed into a telephone pole in Chicago with his motorcycle and ended up never playing after that.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, I don't remember that story, but I'm aware of that
He was a
story.
great player too. It really would have turned the franchise around had he not done that.
Yeah, I have heard that from quite a few people saying the same thing. So
But
yeah,
what's interesting is the Bulls front office actually paid his contract, even though they had no obligation to do so. They paid his contract off the rest of the term.
did that? Am I right? And I may have got my stories muddled up here, but with him going down, it meant the Bulls weren't as good that year, which led them to the number one pick for Derrick Rose. Is that right?
I don't think right away. I think it was
Right.
a couple
Okay.
years in between that happened. But yeah,
Right. And they're saying if he didn't do that, we would have been too good. We wouldn't have got that number one pick potentially.
maybe. But
Who
that's how
knows?
the lottery balls bounce, in
Yeah.
specific ways and in the way that that the league sees fit. Right? We never actually get to see the drawing. We just get to see the cards unveiled.
Yeah. Yeah. The less said about that, the better. Right, let's get to our predictions. Last week, I made a bit of a boo boo, guys, because I stupidly didn't put the Knicks game in because in my head it was tonight, and that's my bad. So the games that were included were the Lakers, Portland, and Denver. And we had David Sago on last week from the Grit and Grind podcast. He predicted the Bulls would lose 1 and 2 of
Hmm.
those 3 games. But he's a Lakers fan, so I wasn't at all surprised that he went with that. Your man here picked 2-1, so I
There you
will
go.
take that. I got the games wrong. I thought we would beat Portland and lose to Denver. It was the other way round. But 2-1, I'm happy with that. So that's
We should have
one
won that Portland game too.
100% agree. Yeah, that was a tough loss to take. That was a really we were so in control of that game it seemed. Um, but the Bulls, that was the first time in the fourth quarter they've not really performed, wasn't it? Because they've been a
Yeah.
fourth quarter team. But yeah, that was a tough loss to take. But yeah, we've not got round to touching on that, unfortunately. I don't want to hold you any longer, Marcus, because I've already kept you for way too long with our technical difficulties. As great as it has to have you on, and I say I could chat to you for hours. But the games we've got this week.
Yep.
By the way, that puts me 1-1. The guests have 1 point, and I have 1 point. So
Okay.
the pressure's on, Marcus.
Let's go.
So we got Indiana Pacers tonight. The Houston Rockets.
So that's a tough one because Alex Caruso might be out tonight
Oh,
with the
really?
wrist contusion.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that. I know he was questionable yesterday.
Yeah. So that may have some effect on it. But if I know Alex, he'll probably just put some duct tape on that thing and get out there. Um, I'm saying it's a dub tonight.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then we have, so that one's obviously at home, and then we have on Thursday we got the Rockets on the road.
Easy dub.
Easy dub. I agree. And then Saturday we've got Magic on the road.
I don't know. Wendell Carter Jr. revenge game coming, or Vooch revenge game
Well,
coming.
Vooch should be back. I don't know if he's back tonight, but he's
Not
certainly.
back tonight.
Is he
He
not?
won't play
Okay.
tonight, but that's okay.
He should be back
I
for the
want him to
Rockets game
rest up and
Thursday.
get healthy. He apparently he tested COVID positive, but had no symptoms. So, from what I gather, he's been just hitting the weight room and putting up shots in his own gym or whatever he does. So, I don't really see any decline in performance from Vooch whatsoever once he comes back. So I'll put that down as a dub in terms of Orlando.
Okay, now this is going to be the tough one. This is going to tell us how biased you are as a Chicago Bulls fan.
Okay.
We end the week. It's at home, Miami Heat. Which is next Sunday.
DeMar versus Kyle Lowry. I'm going to say a dub.
So you're going to go 4-0.
It's at home? Is it at home?
The Heat game's at home, yes.
Yeah, I'll take a dub on that.
So you're going 4-0. I love that. I'm here for that. So I will never match the guests. So I'm going to say 3-1.
Okay, which one are you out? Miami?
Miami. But
Okay.
I hope you're right, because I would happily take the L for a Bulls win, and that would be a great win. Miami are looking pretty good when they're playing well. They're looking really well. That said, Zach LaVine loves playing against Jimmy Butler, so
Is our hatred of Jimmy really? I don't really hate him. I like him a lot,
I
but
don't hate him at all. I love Jimmy Butler.
I want him to lose when we play him. I
100%.
don't want him to get any bragging rights over our team whatsoever, and I don't think he'll have it. It was interesting at the beginning of this season. Everybody, how is DeMar gonna fit? Just fine. He's gonna fit just fine. We're already talking MVP conversation for DeMar. I don't think a month and a half ago any of us were even thinking of it. We thought we got an old man with a cane.
Oh, I know. I was
right?
excited. I was excited for that. I didn't think it would work this well. Don't get me wrong, but I was really excited for the DeMar DeRozan pickup.
Even DeMar last night said, "I never have played with anybody like Zach LaVine in my life.
No.
I never played with anybody like that." When he did his interview with God, who was it that he did that interview with at the beginning of the season? I forgot. It was a former player. And they were saying, my God, what's a 1-2 combination of DeRozan and LaVine gonna be like? Like, they were freaking out. They were like, we as players think of all these cool trades that we should be doing during the year, but the front office doesn't always buy it. But and what I also found was interesting is that DeMar does not credit Zach as recruiting him. He credits Vooch.
Yeah, Vooch, yeah.
As being the one that recruited him.
They played together at high school and college, right?
Yeah. Which kind of blew me away that it was Vooch was the one that said, "Hey, we got something pretty awesome over here."
Yeah.
And so in terms of the rest of the season, I mean, I am really looking forward to seeing how these players keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter within that circle of influence within their own team. I'm very happy for the players. I'm very happy for Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago in our memory when Zach LaVine was on the bench questioning Jim Boylan and as to why certain timeouts and all this kind of stuff were being played. And I'll tell you, I'm very happy that Zach is probably going to stay with the Bulls with a supermax extension, and that we get to watch this team for years to come, at least a couple of years to come.
No, I'm going to put it out there. I think if the opportunity's there to get someone else in the off season, I'm going to say Zach would quite happily take a drop in wages to stay and get another star.
Yeah, because right now you're seeing him in a much higher profile in terms of endorsements. You've seen him in Mountain Dew commercials with Zion. You're seeing him in the NBA 75 commercial dunking on the school bus. You're starting to see him in those higher level conversations that you didn't before. He signed with Clutch Sports, which is LeBron's agency with Rich Paul and all the rest of them. You're going to start to see a lot more endorsements coming Zach LaVine's way. And hopefully those kinds of things help to supplement the salary that we may be not able to give him or able to give him. I don't know. I'm telling you, if the conversation starts to put us into the Eastern Conference Finals for the next few years, why wouldn't we go into luxury tax to make sure that we've got somebody like this signed in, and then the rest of the people can start to take some pay cuts around him to supplement the fact that he gets to play with them. People were kind of sour on the amount that we paid DeMar. I think that's probably a really good deal right now. I think
if anything, we're underpaying him right now.
Considering what we got in return, I remember when we first signed him, they're like, yeah, he's going to come off the bench and run the second unit. Yeah, okay. I
No,
don't think so.
no.
So I think, and it's interesting because, like, at the trade deadline last year, we were talking, oh, maybe we can get Andre Drummond. Maybe we can get this. We're playing checkers, and Arturas is playing 3D chess. Like, yeah, why would I get some old person when I can go out and get a certified all-star for a center? And so it's those kinds of moves, that kind of thing that really shocks me as a fan that, oh my God, we've actually got a front office that can actually put a team together now.
Yeah.
And so, that's even what drove me out of retirement to start the podcast up again, coming up this week. And I couldn't be more thrilled that I'm in this position, that I can be a podcaster and talk about the team and talk with the fans about the team and talk to people like yourself on other shows that are Bulls fans. And, I can just say this is our time. This is going to be our time. And the winter this year is going to be a little bit warmer just because of the excitement and the things that we have to watch on television with the Chicago Bulls.
We deserve it, man. After what we've been through the last sort of 5 years now, it's not been enjoyable when you're watching David Nwaba and Walt Lemon Jr. and people like that. It's, oh man. Like I said, I don't know if I said this on the podcast or whether I said this pre-record to Marcus, but I was listening back to some of his podcasts from sort of 18 months ago, over the last week, just doing a bit of sort of recap for the show, really. And it was amazing listening, because I was listening with a massive smile on my face as Marcus was talking about Chandler Hutchinson, and his nickname that he gave him was Hutch in. Hang on.
Hutch is on.
Hutch is on. That's right. And you
Yeah.
said we never got to use it because he was never on. And I think one of your other quotes from one of the shows I actually listened to today was about if Chris Dunn goes, that's all of our defense gone. He's the only player that can play defense, and it's just,
I was right.
You were absolutely right. Yeah, you really were. We've come a hell of a long way in that 18 months to 18 to 20 month spell. It's quite incredible, and it just makes me so happy. And I'm sure you've noticed it as well. Just Bulls Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Bulls Twitter is just a much friendlier place right now. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm at work, and like today, for example, I'm absolutely shattered. I've had like 4 or 5 hours sleep, and I'm at work doing a physical job, and I'm just buzzing, and I'm smiling all day. People are thinking I'm a right weirdo or whatever. Bags under my eyes, but with a massive smile on my face, because it's so exciting. I won't be watching live tonight because I really want to. But I've got a very busy day tomorrow, and I know I will regret it tomorrow. So unfortunately, I won't be watching that live. But I will be getting up early to catch it before I go to work, because I can do that in about an hour and a half. Whereas obviously you're watching it live, it's 2.5 hours or so. So
sure.
I'll be watching it before work. But I'm buzzing, man. It's just an amazing thing, and I have to say I'm genuinely really excited about your podcast coming back as well, man. Because I enjoyed listening to that, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. I genuinely really enjoyed it.
Thanks. And I try and put the production value into it so that it comes across more than just kind of a generic kind of podcast. I want to make sure that the fans get a good product. And the switch for me now is I'm going to start taking it to video rather than just audio. So I might actually start to review plays and post-game stuff and go over what I see and maybe some improvements that can be done. And it's going to be pretty exciting. So I'm going to start off just kind of getting my wings unfurled once again and get into the groove of things. It's tough because I had a really great co-host that I really loved working with. It was like DeMar and Zach, it was really great. But he's got a family and he's got other obligations and things that he had to do, so he had to step away from the show. But when you have a co-host all the time, you kind of rely on that crutch, and it's often tough to be that solo person. But I think I have a formula now that I'm going to work with from from here on that I think is going to be very entertaining for the fans.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I genuinely mean that as well. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be watching.
Thanks.
I struggle to watch everything. I listen to a lot at work, so I'll definitely be listening, and I'll be watching as much as I can as well. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Genuinely.
Cool. And all the fans out there that want to check it out, you can just go to the domain bullspodcast.com or Bulls Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, all the rest of it. So I was really smart to kind of get that name years ago before I even started, because I knew I wanted to do it, but I just had to put it on the back burner. But
it paid off.
Now we're coming back and ready to go.
It paid off. So yeah, there's Marcus's handles and podcast stuff. His personal is on the screen now as well. It's at Marcus Couch. Excuse me, Marcus. Thank you so much, man. I've genuinely really enjoyed this, and it's great to get aside from a man from Chicago. It's and now living in California, so you're sort of getting all the angles. It's awesome, man. I say I could have spoke for so much longer. There's so much we've not touched on rather. But I'll have to get you back on again later in the
Sure. Later and like I said, I'll have you on the Bulls podcast, and we can kind of continue the conversation there as well.
I look forward to that, man. It'll be an honor. Thank you so much, Marcus. I really appreciate your time, my man.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
You take care and enjoy the game tonight.
I will. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching live or catching up or even just listening, as always, genuinely really appreciate your support. I've had some amazing messages, and I'll be honest, the last week I had one message in particular absolutely blew me away, because as I always say, I'm just a fan, just on here, just talking nonsense, really. My view, it's nothing too heavy. I'm not a basketball mind, as I always say. So the fact that people are enjoying it, for me, it was, even if nobody listens to it, I still get to talk to someone about Bulls basketball, and that's a win for me. So the fact that there are people out there enjoying it is quite overwhelming for me. So yeah, I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much, and enjoy this week's games, and we'll be back with another episode next Monday. Take care, stay safe.